Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. These are the stories making the headlines.
Two governments stand shoulder to shoulder, launching their new plan to deal with legacy.
And if we don't do this now, then they may never get the answers that they have been searching for.
This is one of those moments of imperfect opportunity.
But is it enough? Families of victims react to today's proposals.
Certainly, I hope it works. But honestly, I can't see it happening in my lifetime.
Security alert hoax leaves elderly residents evacuated from sheltered accommodation in Omagh in the middle of the night.
Also tonight, we've brought you 4 inspirational Pride of Britain Award nominees this week, and we're now set to reveal our amazing winner.
Belfast provides the stage for music, drama and thrills as Culture Night returns to the city.
And a bit of a mixed end to the week. The best of the sunshine developing in the west. Sunny spells for all of us into the weekend, but also some heavy showers. I'll have more on that later in the programme.
The UK and Irish governments have today unveiled their plan to address Northern Ireland's bloody past.
Secretary of State Hilary Benn and Taoiseach Simon Harris made the announcement at a joint press conference this afternoon at Hillsborough Castle. That's where we can join our political editor Tracy McGee, who's live for us tonight. Tracy.
We seem to have lost Tracy. Let's bring you a roundup of today's developments. Here's our political correspondent, Vicky Hawthorne.
A relationship reset and rebuilt for the future. The governments are now standing together to deal with the past. After months of negotiations, the UK and Irish governments have drawn up a plan to try to offer answers to families and victims of the Troubles. But even now they acknowledge it won't please everyone.
Perfect outcome is not attainable. But we firmly believe that this agreement, underpinned by new commitments from our two governments, represents the right approach, and history teaches us that peace and reconciliation in Northern Ireland make most progress when our two governments work together.
This is one of those moments of imperfect opportunity. It would be easy to hold out for the perfect, to inevitably fail, and to then stand criticising on the sidelines. It's a very comfortable hurler on the ditch position. But that would be a fundamental mistake, one that could not later be rectified.
The government's legacy framework would set up 2 bodies. A legacy commission, created from an overhaul of the current Independent Commission for Reconciliation and Information Recovery. It could provide families with a route to prosecution if new information is found. This will also have an oversight board. There would be a cross-border information recovery body, the ICIR, to gather details about Troubles-related killings on both sides of the border. This will be jointly funded by both governments. Legacy inquests, which have already started, will continue, with a separate process to decide if others can start. And there will be a Victims and Survivors Advisory Group.
We will talk to victims and survivors about it, and then we await the legislation, because that really will be the litmus test as to the seriousness of the British government when it says that it wishes to bring all of this to a successful conclusion.
But the DUP is already indicating it can't get behind the plan.
Well, the devil's in the detail, and we have no detail. So, I couldn't honestly sit here and say to you, certainly on the face of it, it is not something that we could support or would support. And certainly I think you will struggle to find support for it from innocent victims.
The Irish government is committing €25 million to support the victims and families in the legacy process, with An Garda Síochána also setting up a legacy unit before the end of this year. Other unionists are at best sceptical about the Irish government's involvement.
We really need to scrutinise what the Irish are really going to do here. Are they just going to say they're going to cooperate, or are they physically going to do something which will be a game changer in regards to legacy?
To me, and I believe to many innocent victims, that is offensive, and I think it would be very difficult to secure unionist buy-in to arrangements with that genesis.
Other parties want guarantees around the disclosure of information.
What we need to see now is that whatever is put forward, and we still need to see the full legislative text, has the support of victims and survivors and families and actually aids the process of healing.
We need to see some evidence that there is going to be a substantially different approach to releasing information. Otherwise, it's going to be the definition of insanity and trying the same things and them not working.
The Joint Legacy Framework is a commitment to introducing legislation in both London and Dublin. That will take time. The question now is if victims and survivors think it is worth waiting for. Once more, Vicky Hawthorne, UTV Live.
Well, we'll speak to our political editor Tracy McGee shortly, and of course political reaction has been swift, but the people who've been waiting the longest are the victims and their loved ones.
The government say they want to end their pain. Our reporter Sarah O'Kane has been finding out what their initial reaction is.
Foreign policy to tech and innovation to maritime security.
When you're watching this, do you feel that they're talking to you, or does this feel very removed for you?
To me, I don't believe anything they're saying, Sarah. They can only be judged on what they show that they're going to do. You know, words are easy.
Winston Cross was only 18 when he and his friend were abducted, tortured and murdered by the IRA in Donegal in 1974. The teenager from Londonderry was a painter and worked at Ebrington Army Barracks. No one has ever been convicted, and for 50 years the family have felt forgotten.
You know, is there a sense that you have a bit of fresh hope today?
There's always hope. But when is that hope going to come to fruition? You know, when is the answers going to come? And is this going to make any difference? So you have to wait and see.
And that's all you can do?
That's all you can do, yes.
There's a lovely photograph of your brother.
Yeah, that's Winston.
Just tell us a little bit about him.
He was a lad. He just loved life to the full, Sarah. And his life was just cut short at 18 years of age, for no reason. We were best friends as well as brothers.
Now that the Irish government seem to be on board with this, do you have any confidence in getting more answers?
Well, Sarah, I welcome the work they're doing and the commitment. If they do fully commit to what they've agreed to, certainly there could be answers at the end of the line. If we have to go to the end of the world to get these answers, we'll do it.
Sean Brown's family have longed for answers for nearly 3 decades now. The GAA official was abducted and shot dead by members of the Loyalist Volunteer Force in Balahi in 1997. There was nothing in the joint document today that suggested the UK government would budge on a public inquiry into the 61-year-old's murder. But Taoiseach Simon Harris spoke to Mr Brown's widow Bridie this morning to reassure her he would continue to press Downing Street to set one up.
She thanked him for her time and asked that she wants the Irish government to continue to be supportive in the role going forward. But it's still a long way to go. Everything has to be brought into legislation, and that's going to take a bit of time.
Victims campaigners say they want to go through the fine detail.
We would like to see a very resourced unit, certainly within An Garda Síochána, looking at legacy, not tokenistic. But there must also be the adequate oversight of those structures. And I suppose what we're asking is that both states would commit to the very maximum that they can achieve rather than the minimal.
We'll carefully examine the framework here today to determine if it is fully compliant with the European Convention on Human Rights and therefore is capable of delivering for victims.
For families, today was full of promises. It's what happens next that really matters to them. Sarah O'Kane, UTV Live, Derry.
And Tracy, we have you now live at Hillsborough Castle. We're being told today was hugely important, was it?
Well, Sarah, if this is the first day in a process that will mean there will finally be an answer to Northern Ireland's legacy issues. Yesterday is hugely important, historic even. But will it mean that? Only time will tell. I think the most important thing about today, though, was the fact that both men stood together in a very deliberate show of unity to say, this is the plan from the UK and Irish governments, and we agree on this. And don't forget, that relationship was in absolute tatters by the time the Conservative government left, and so there has been a real rebuild going on between these two governments, and they're going to need that unity, Sarah, because this is such a politically toxic, so emotional and sensitive issue. If they don't stand together, it's very hard to see how this process will get through. But history has shown that when the two governments are on the same side, that is when we tend to see success.
The DUP have already said they won't support it. How damaging is that?
Well, it's not the start that anybody would want. Is it a surprise? I'm not so sure. Yesterday, Gavin Robinson, their leader, was describing the Irish government's role in all of this as outrageous. The TUV's Jim Mallister was talking about it being an obscenity. The Ulster Unionists may not have used just as colourful language, but it's clear that they have their problems as well. And even on the nationalist side, you can see a caution from their viewpoint. But look, this is a government with a massive majority. The Irish government are clearly on side. They could push this through if they want to, but it's not the way they would want to do it. So it's whether or not they can find some common ground with the parties.
We're told that protections for veterans are being built into the legislation. Are they being given special treatment?
Well, the government say no. There are protections such as they're going to be allowed anonymity. Their ages are also going to be taken into account. There will be no cold calling, as is nobody's going to just ring them out of the blue or send a letter in the post. But it's important to say this legislation, much as we saw in the Legacy Act, if something is brought in for one section, it is brought in for everybody. So I think what you're looking at here is a government that's very mindful of the fact that they're going to get an awful lot of heat from their own MPs and from the other parties about veterans' protection. And so they're trying to talk up the fact that there are protections for veterans in this legislation.
Much has been made of the Irish government's contributions. What about the legal case it's bringing against the UK and Europe?
Yes, and Simon Harris was asked about this numerous times during the press conference because that interstate case at the European Court of Human Rights against the UK government continues. But Mr Harris said that if there were to be an agreed formula that would mean that there would be a plan that is human rights compliant, really there would be no need for this interstate case. I think what will be the turning point is when the legislation is laid and the government see this being implemented. But it is going to be a bone of contention, particularly with unionism.
And Tracy, how long is all of this going to take?
We're being told it's not going to be quick. It could be a year, maybe even 18 months before this is implemented. In the meantime, the ICRIR has issued a statement to say that their work will continue. So far, 200 people from all sections have come forward. There are 90 investigations underway, and they say that work will continue.
Our political editor Tracy McGee live at Hillsborough Castle. Thank you.
The judge in the trial of a former paratrooper accused of murdering 2 people in the attempted murder of 5 others on Bloody Sunday has reserved judgment on a legal bid on the admissibility of decisive evidence. It's the Crown's case that statements from 2 soldiers identified Soldier F as having fired shots in Glenfadda Park North in Londonderry in January 1972. Soldier F's lawyer argued the statements of Soldiers G and H were inadmissible and riddled with questions and reliability. The judge will deliver his ruling on Wednesday.
The inquest into the deaths of 2 teenagers who died in a car crash on the A5 near Omagh has heard how the driver had presented himself to hospital after collapsing in the gym just a few weeks before the collision. 19-year-old Jamie Moore died in a collision near the Duggery Road alongside his girlfriend, 17-year-old Camille Voyicha Conata, in April 2024. Omagh Court heard Mr Moore underwent extensive tests after complaining of symptoms including blurred vision, headaches and vomiting, all of which came back clear. Post-mortems of both victims showed there was no alcohol or drugs in either of their systems.
Workers from Collins Aerospace in Kilkeel are set to are set for strike action over pay. Staff at the aircraft interiors and seating manufacturer are calling for a cost of living pay increase. Last week they rejected a pay offer, and the Unite union has warned of the potential for significant disruption.
Adults with learning disabilities and senior citizens were among the people moved as 2 care facilities and a number of homes were evacuated during an early morning security alert in Omagh.
Well, our correspondent Gareth Wilkinson sent us this report.
Step by step, taking few chances, the Army's bomb squad approached the suspicious object with caution. But homes in Culmore Park had already been evacuated. The alarm raised at around 6 o'clock this morning. Elderly people living in nearby sheltered accommodation were woken in their beds.
I got banging at my door, and with the police telling me I'd have to evacuate the building.
Unfortunately, this is what we've been instructed to do.
That was early this morning, and it's now midday and still not allowed back to my residence.
Another care facility was also caught up in the alert. Adults with learning disabilities live in Railway Court, vulnerable people who are forced to leave their home and move to a community centre.
It was huge disruption, and they've been visited variously by health workers throughout the morning and other support workers in the CKS Community Centre. And I would pay tribute to the council staff who reacted in a very agile way and opened up the CKS Centre and are providing support as well.
Police have described the device as an elaborate hoax, but the disruption caused was very real. Gareth Wilkinson, UTV Live, Omagh.
Now, throughout the week, we've been bringing you our inspirational nominees for the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards.
Yes, I was lucky enough to meet them all, and here's a reminder of our 4 inspirational fundraisers. Leanne Stewart-Marie set up Paul's legacy in memory of her husband, who died suddenly from a heart condition. Turning her grief into something remarkable, Leanne has raised tens of thousands of pounds for heart screening, CPR training and defibrillators across the North Coast.
When someone you love dies, it's very sad. But when their death is sudden and unexpected, there's another layer to that grief as well. And I was really keen to stop that devastation happening to other people in our local community.
There's no stopping Deirdre Breen. She spent 25 years raising funds for Evora, formerly the Southern Area Hospice, and recently hit a major fundraising milestone of £1 million.
Here's to the next million. I want to get to the 2 million, but as my friend Alan says, we'll be dead by then because it's taken us 24 years to get it. But this year we're celebrating our 25th anniversary and we've already raised 60,000.
Joanne Harris and her community of knitters provide around 5,000 knitted knockers every year to women across Northern Ireland who've experienced a mastectomy. Joanne has also set up breast cancer support groups.
Just seeing the friendships develop within the knitting community as well. You know, didn't realise there's so many women feeling isolated, and so the coming together really formed a knitting community as well as then helping women that were going through breast surgery.
He might be known as Tiny, but Ryan Donnelly is a man with a big heart, especially for his daughter's school. He's raised over £200,000 in the last 3 years for the school and other good causes, using his boxing prowess.
As a parent of a child with additional needs, you know, there's days it's up and down, you know, and it's never easy. And I think with Fight for Life, our aim was to let all our parents know that they're not alone. And, you know, when one voice can come loads of voices.
And we will be revealing our fantastic Daily Mirror Pride of Britain winner later in the programme, so don't go anywhere.
Yes, exactly. Time now to look at the headlines of tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Here's Charlene White.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, free at last. The Taliban finally released an elderly British couple they'd held as prisoners since February. Dozens of people arrive here via boats on the day the government manages to send one to France. And
we have another fun, hilarious, administration compliant show
Mocking hypocrisy. US TV hosts lampoon Trump after a late-night host is yanked off air in a row over free speech. So do join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Turning to sport now, and Ireland's Kate O'Connor's year just keeps getting better. She had a strong start at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. O'Connor is sitting second on the heptathlon leaderboard after day one, after personal bests in the 100-metre hurdles, high jump and in the first 200-metre heat. She'll compete again tomorrow in the long jump, the javelin and the 800 metres.
The second T20 test between England and Ireland was abandoned in Malahide due to rain. England are 1-0 up after their 4-wicket victory on Wednesday, but no play took place today. Ireland will be aiming to draw the series when they meet in the third and final match on Sunday.
To football now, and there are 2 games in the Niffle Premiership tonight. Coleraine host table toppers Glentoran at the Showgrounds. Both are unbeaten so far this season. In the other game, Bangor travel to Portadown.
In ice hockey, the Belfast Giants welcome the Fife Flyers in a Challenge Cup clash at the SSE Arena on Saturday night. Adam Keefe's side have 1 win and 1 loss in the competition. They won last season.
Now it's time for Culture Vultures to feast in Belfast.
Yes, after 6 years away, Culture Night is back in the city, and Stuart Robson, well, he's there live for us outside Grand Central Station. Give us a wee song there, Stuart, go on.
I promise you, Paul, you really do not want to hear that. Nobody at home wants to either. Welcome to Grand Central Station. Yes, usually at this time of night it's the noise of commuters filling this area, but tonight, as you can hear, there they are. Big round of applause for Belfast Rock Choir. They are taking part, one of around 600 acts taking part in Belfast Culture Night, which returns after 4 years this year. Expect fire performances, more music like this right across all parts of the city, and it's taken some organising by those in charge.
Everybody within the sector definitely wanted it back. It was more the challenge of time, so we've had 14 weeks to put this amazing event together, so there's been long days and nights, but you know, we're delighted to be here this evening bringing it back to Belfast.
I actually know the words of this, but as I said, look, I'm not going to treat anybody to that. Look, this act is only one of hundreds of acts taking part across all corners of Belfast tonight. North, south, east and west, all being treated to different types of events. And the best part about it is, it's all free. I'm going to go and have an audition. You need to wish me luck, I think.
Good man, Stu.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Good luck.
Super.
Yes, great that Culture Night is finally back. Now, the waiting is finally over. After months of nominations, shortlisting, filming and judging, we can finally reveal our 2025 Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards winner.
Yes, drum roll please. It was a tough choice between 4 really great contenders, but I got the lovely job earlier of delivering the good news to our amazing winner. Joanne. Turn around. I don't think I need to say any more. Congratulations, you're our Pride of Britain winner. Well done. Well done. Can I ask how you're feeling?
I'm just enjoying. Thank you so much, really. On behalf of everybody, I couldn't do it without everybody, obviously. So, sorry.
We were warned you'd be a bit emotional.
Yeah.
So we were.
Okay.
Just remind us, almost 10 years, there you go, almost 10 years you've been working with women with breast cancer.
Yeah.
Remind us a wee bit about Knitted Knockers.
Knitted Knockers provide free breast prosthetics, cushions and drain bags to women and men who go through breast cancer. And then we also have Breast Friends Clubhouse, which is a support group for women with a social and creative space for women with breast cancer.
And it takes a lot of work, Joanne, and everyone here is testament to that and the hard work you do.
Yeah, well, we all work together and do it together. We have Lurgan players who do the murder mysteries that help fund the work we do with breast cancer work. And with Lurgan Ukes, I'm trying to think what else.
You're thinking of everyone. Listen, you do a great job, Joanne, and today is about you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really.
Give her a big round of applause. Yes, huge congratulations to Joanne. She's now off to the star-studded award ceremony in London.
Yes, one happy woman. And what a brilliant name.
Indeed, and I want to say thank you to Leanne, Deirdre and Ryan. It was wonderful meeting you all and very worthy nominees this year.
Yes, congratulations also go to all of our, as you say, amazing Pride of Britain nominees. Weather time now?
Yes, here's Ross Hutchinson.
Feel good weather is set to continue throughout the day. UTV weather, sponsored by the Grant Irona R290 heat pump.
Hello, good evening. There has been a bit of a divide in our weather today. Eastern areas seeing more in the way of cloud, but a patchy rain trying to work its way in along the coast. Further west, though, more in the way of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures holding up. Into tomorrow, sunny spells for all of us, but heavy showers will develop. Some of these merging together, forming longer spells of rain, gradually easing through the weekend into next week, becoming brighter, drier, but also a bit fresher. At the moment, we've got low pressure in control. It's allowing those showers to develop tomorrow. Those winds coming down from the north. From the west, though, high pressure is starting to build towards the end of the weekend. That's going to calm things down. But again, with these winds coming down from the north, we are dragging in that chillier air. Could see a return to some overnight frosts in those more sheltered rural spots as we head through next week. For now, though, some clear skies taking us through this evening. Overnight, again, a bit of rain out towards eastern areas for a time. That will disappear. Generally, overnight, it's looking calm. Some clearer skies, lighter breezes, some patches of mist and murk starting to form, as already those temperatures do start to drop down into the single digits. The values here for those more built-up areas, certainly in rural spots, down into the low single digits at times. So a bit of a chill first thing tomorrow morning. If you are up first thing, there's plenty of sunshine around. The mist and murk is lifting, but as we make our way through the morning into the afternoon, the wind's picking up from the north. We're seeing those showers rolling through. The bright colours here showing we're expecting those heavier downpours. Temperatures 15, 16 degrees in the winds, though. It's going to feel just that bit cooler. Looking a bit further afield as we make our way through Saturday, similar sort of story. Heavy showers, some sunny spells in the mix, highs of 15 or 16 degrees. Calming down as we make our way into next week, but we will notice that drop in temperatures.
UTV weather, sponsored by the Grant Irona R290 heat pump.
Well, that's the very latest from the newsroom. Don't forget, Pammy will be back with UTV Life at 7 o'clock. She'll be joined by the team behind a new production about the life of blues singer Ottilie Patterson and a Guinness World Record holder. Sarah, of course, will have late news at 10:30.
Yes, do join me then. You're off to Culture Night.
Yeah, I can't wait.
The ITV News continues with Charlene, from Paul, from me and the entire UTV News team. Thanks for watching and have a lovely evening and a great weekend.
Good evening.